What if you could save hours every week, double your marketing output, and build systems in minutes, all without hiring a single new team member? Welcome back to another episode of the Vital Wealth Strategies podcast, the show where we help entrepreneurs like you master cash flow, minimize taxes, and maximize your impact. I'm your host, Patrick Lonergan, and today's episode is going to completely shift the way you think about AI in your business. My guest is Jonathan Mast, an AI prompting pioneer and seasoned digital marketing expert who's been innovating since the days of dial-up internet. In this episode, Jonathan and I dive deep into how AI is transforming how business owners operate, from generating revenue-driving marketing copy to building out standard operating procedures in minutes to creating an entire virtual board of advisors. Jonathan doesn't just talk theory, he brings actionable, proven strategies that you can implement today to save time, make more money, and deliver more value to your clients. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by the speed of AI advancement or you're unsure where to start, Jonathan lays out a clear, simple path that will help you shift from stuck to scaling fast. And if you stick with us to the end, you'll walk away with tools to start installing AI as a force multiplier in every part of your business. Now, before we dive in, if you're serious about putting smart strategies in place to reduce your tax burden this year, make sure to check out vitalstrategies.com/tax. That's where we can connect and develop strategies to help you keep more of what you earn and build a tax strategy that actually works for you. Now, let's jump into this conversation with Jonathan Mast. You're not going to want to miss this one. Jonathan Mast, I'm so excited that you are here today. This conversation is so relevant to where we're at in I'll say just technology and the entrepreneurial landscape. We're going to be talking about AI, and you're an AI prompting pioneer, transforming business and marketing with actionable AI strategies. And I'm really looking forward to getting into these because I think in all of the entrepreneur circles that I'm wandering in, I'm seeing people have these questions and are really dealing with the problems of, hey, how do I keep up with AI? It seems like every day there's a new and exciting tool. And then there's, I've got so much going on in my business. How do I spend the time and energy to keep up with the AI revolution and don't let it overrun me,
Absolutely.
And then finally, I think there's the sort of the philosophical problem, it's not right that all the work I've put in, could be for naught if I don't adopt this technology. So I think this is great. And thank you so much for joining us here today.
Oh, I'm excited.
So if it's okay, Jonathan, can you give us a little bit of your background? I know you've been a digital innovator for, probably since the internet became a thing in 95, combining both marketing experience with emerging technology. So can you just tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, I've been involved in digital marketing for a long time. My background, sales and marketing. Sold my first website in 1995. Was actually working for a IT company at the time. And the boss, we had an opportunity come in. Nobody knew how to build a website, but it came in from a regional airport. And they're like, we need a website. And the boss is like, if you can sell it, I'll hire the people to do it. And so we literally mocked it up on a PowerPoint, sold it, and then I walked into the boss's office and I'm like, so I got the contract, you got to go hire some people. And that's kind of how I got started in the whole digital marketing world. I had a couple of stops and starts along the way, worked for some other people. In 2010, my wife finally got sick of me saying, I wish they'd do it this way. And she said, why don't you go do it yourself? So we did. And I left and started my own agency. A couple years later, my wife very wisely realized that if I didn't get some help, it was going to be me and two people that wanted new jobs. And so I was able to talk her into joining me. She's an operational genius. I am the ADD visionary crazy guy. And so I need that operational genius. And we built an amazing agency, had a team of about 15 people. And as that grew and got larger and we started exceeding seven figures regularly and that, I started realizing that I sometimes wasn't the best fit for the agency any longer because I just wanted to get things done. I'm a people pleaser. And it's like, look, okay, you call in, I'm going to take care of it. And then 6 weeks later, they'd call back in and the team would go, what happened 6 weeks ago? And, oh, Jonathan got involved. And they'd have to undo what I did and redo it and fix it all. And because I'm just about, let's get it done. Let's move forward. And so AI came out about that time and I just fell in love. When I saw the capacity that AI provided as a tool for me to get more stuff done. Keep in mind that I kind of live by the mantra of, speed implementation and rules. AI obviously worked really well in that. And then I also saw, combined with that, I saw my team at the time, they started to have some trepidation and fear about AI because they're like, hang on, this may not be good for us. What does this mean? And I believe it is good for the teams. I believe it is good for us. And so I decided it was a perfect opportunity for me to step away from the agency, which I did back in 2023, and really begin to focus on helping businesses and their teams learn how to leverage AI. And we have really three things we try to do. One, save time. Two, make more money. And three, provide more value. And our big thing is I'm not a theoretician, I probably should say that properly. I'm going to mess that up. But I'm not into the AI theory. I'm into what can we do today or tomorrow with it in order to add value. And thankfully, that's worked out really well. It's been a great business. I've managed to, we're at a point we talked about 500,000 people a day about AI, and I am blessed because I love what I do.
I love that. And Jonathan, we're on similar paths. I recruited my wife into our business at one point too, because she was the operational genius. And now she manages a team of 400 people. And, I've got my team of about 5 that, I think most of them manage me. So that's
the way it is with my team. I absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. I resonate with the comment around, my ADD brain. It's like, I just got off a call with one of our team members, and she was like, I love all the ideas you have and create. But at times we just need to focus on, what the right next step is versus, doing 12 things. So
I live there. Yes, I know. I've had that discussion many days.
Yeah, this is great. And I also love just hearing a little bit of your story, your willingness to say yes to the marketplace. You need a website. Yes, we will figure it out. You need help with AI and figuring out how to implement it. Yes, we will help you with that. And so I think that's a fantastic trait of an entrepreneur. Can drive some of our teams crazy because we come back and we're like, all right, here we go. We're going to do this thing. And they're like, what do you mean we're going to do this thing? We've never done it before. But that's how innovation happens. So this is wonderful. And I'm just going to share a little bit of my experience. We found AI really valuable. I think it's a tremendous collaborator for me.
Yes.
I have a question. I can start with, in chat GPT and start, having it explain, and then I can keep asking it questions. And now I've also found I need to go verify some of those answers to make sure that it's giving me correct feedback. But it's allowed me to create clarity much quicker than if I was trying to, I would Google a question and then I'd have to go find, it would lead me to another question. And then, it was really hard to sort of dig through all the websites to get the answer, where chat did a good job helping me come up with those. So I'm excited. When we think about how to bring AI into our business, is there some first steps that we should consider? Like, here's what we should do to, again, do those 3 things that you outlined. I think those were beautiful. Can you remind me what those 3 were?
Yeah, absolutely. So save time. That's an easy win. Make more money. It happens naturally if we save time. And then the part that's probably most impressive to me is the add more value to your clients, because AI lets us do all 3 at the same time.
I love it. Great. So when we're looking to save time, make more money, and add more value, how do we start? Because I feel like it's overwhelming between, I'm reading articles about, Gemini and all the cool, rendering it's doing. And then chat has got, a new version that comes out, it seems like, on a weekly basis. And so where do I start with all of this? How do I get this moving in my business?
Great question. And I think it's a very common question. First is try not to overcomplicate it. And I know that's hard, but the best way not to overcomplicate it is to give up the search for the perfect AI tool. I think as entrepreneurs and business leaders, we're always like, I want the perfect tool. I want the best tool. No, AI is such an amazing tool, and it's new enough that whatever AI you have access to, if you're a Microsoft shop, that may be Copilot. If you're a Google shop, it's Gemini. If not, it may be ChatGPT. Whatever you have will allow you to make leaps ahead of where you are today. So don't waste time searching for the perfect tool. Many of them, by the way, are rebadged versions of ChatGPT anyway.
Yeah.
Just use the tool that you have and learn to use it well. And my recommendation when you're getting started, don't try to make it perfect. Just try to save 30 minutes a week.
Mm-hmm.
I should say
Yeah.
30 minutes a day each week. So find something that you can do throughout the week that lets you save 30 minutes and then do the same thing the next week and the next week. And by the time you're at week 4 or 5, your brain was thinking of all kinds of ways. And what we notice happens is somewhere between week 5 and week 8, most business owners start going, I'm now thinking of how I can use AI first to do this instead of, oh, I
Mm-hmm.
could have used AI, next time I will. And that's when the real productivity hits.
I love this. This is fantastic, and I think you're onto something that's just true of most things in life. Oftentimes, we'll see entrepreneurs get hung up on, I need the perfect entity set up
Yes.
before I even, go try to sell my product. And it's like, nope, like just fire up the LLC. We can worry about some of those things later, but like just get the baseline done and start making some incremental progress. And I think the same is true with, we could call it everything from fitness and nutrition to relationship work. It's like, I need the perfect workout before I can go work out. No, you just need to show up to the gym and go walk on the treadmill for a
Yes.
minute and keep repeating those habits over and over again to build a discipline. And I love what you're talking about. Get started, start finding some time savings, and then before you know it, it starts stacking up. And then you're using AI as the first stop on how to make efficiencies versus figuring out like, oh, next time I'll try that. So wonderful. Okay. So now that we start to build some of these habits, we start to utilize chat sort of first. How do we grow on this? How do we expand? How do we, because I think we've seen this even in some of our team, a little scary. Like I get into
Absolutely.
chat and I don't even know necessarily how to prompt it to give me good outcomes, So how do we start to figure some of those pieces out?
Well, my recommendation to everybody there is that, again, I'm going to start with something to avoid, not that I'm a negative Nelly, but something to avoid. And
Mm-hmm.
that's it. Once you get started, you're going to start hearing about prompt lists and lists of prompts that you can buy. And it's very tempting because we're like, I don't know how to prompt this stuff. I'd like to get a
Yeah.
list or library of a bunch of those. There are a few good ones out there, but I say few, and I mean very few. Most of
Mm-hmm.
the time, here's the problem with a prompt library. You get a big PDF. The prompts, let's assume they're good, which is a big assumption
Mm-hmm.
to make. Now, when I'm ready to do something and maybe it's like, hey, I need to write a standard operating procedure. I'm not sure how to do that. I
Mm-hmm.
have to go through this prompt list, sometimes of hundreds, or I saw one the other day, literally 10,001 prompts. Okay. You know how long it's going to take me to look? That's not productive.
Right.
So
Right.
instead of going there, I recommend that you learn how to communicate with AI. Now, AI is not sentient, so it's not like we're having
Mm-hmm.
a relationship in a traditional term. But as we know, anytime we're building a relationship, whether that's with a human, whether an animal or anything else,
Mm-hmm.
communication is key. At work,
Yeah.
home, doesn't matter. And AI, it's no different. And I have found that the best way to do that is to have a framework in which I follow when I ask it questions, because like so many things, garbage in, garbage out. But I can literally go and I do a 4-step framework. One,
Mm-hmm.
tell the AI what type of expert it is. We need to remember it's been trained on everything. So we need to hone it in a little bit.
Yeah.
2, we need to give it context. And this is what we almost always forget. We forget to give it context about our question. 3, I need to ask it my question. That's what most of us do. And if you've forgotten everything else I did, just remember this one thing. It'll change the way you work with AI forever. And that's just end your prompt. And a prompt is just a question you asked an AI. End it with ask me any questions you have. And you're
Mm-hmm.
giving permission for the AI model to stop making assumptions, because we know what happens when we make assumptions. We start resembling the southbound end or the south end of a northbound mule. We don't want to do that. So as a
Yeah.
result, it now will ask us clarifying questions and go, Jonathan, I can write that press release you just asked me about, but you forgot to tell me who the audience was, and you forgot to tell me these 3 other things that maybe I didn't know because I'm not a press release expert. So just remember
Yeah.
that 4-step. End your prompts with ask me any questions you have.
I love that. And one thing, and I'm curious your feedback on this. One thing I've started doing is I ask it to ask me one question at a time. And
Yes,
and that's
hugely
helped
beneficial.
me. It's helped me because sometimes it'll give me 4, 5, 6, 7 questions all in like a row, and I'm trying to answer all those. And I feel like my my thinking gets clarified when I have one question at a time.
Yes.
And it seems to give me really good outcomes from that. So I love that, and that's a trick that I've learned just working with it and trying to get better. That's wonderful. Very good. All right, I love this. I think this is a fantastic place to start. I think if we ended the episode right here and people just went and did those things, tell AI what kind of expert you're looking for. I think that's great. I've done a little bit of this going, okay, hey, I'm trying to create a sales framework.
Mm-hmm.
Pretend you're the greatest salesperson to ever exist or greatest marketer ever to exist, And I think there's even ways to get really specific there.
You can.
Not just the greatest salesperson, but like the greatest, let's say I'm selling boilers, the greatest boiler salesperson ever, Yeah. I need to create this framework. So, does it help to get, really granular with these prompts?
It can, but we need to remember they're language models. And so realistically, the other hack that I would share in a hack meeting tip is I rarely type out prompts anymore. I don't use the voice capabilities of AI because my ADD kicks in and they're too slow to respond. But our computers, Mac or PC, have the ability to transcribe our voice in real time. So I can literally on my laptop click in my prompt box, press my control key twice, that's my hotkey on my keyboard, and I can just start talking. And as fast as I talk, it transcribes that. And because these are natural language models, your tip of one question at a time is great. But when we talk to it instead of type, we tend to give it more context and more information, and we tend to be very natural about it. This isn't all about formulas and programming anymore. That's all on the back end. Now we just need to communicate with it. And it's no different than if I came to you and let's say you were that expert in writing press releases. And I said, hey, I need you to write a press release for me. And you said, great, that's what I'm good at that. I can do that. And then I turned around and walked away and you're like, but Jonathan, I've got a few questions. And I'm like, no, figure it out. That's what we do with AI all the time. When what we really need to do was just spend a moment, and often it's less than 10 or 20 seconds, sharing information with it so that it has the relevant context so that it can give us an incredible response.
Yeah, this is fantastic. So, Jonathan, I'm curious where you see the biggest opportunity for the entrepreneur to leverage AI. I could see opportunities on the marketing side. I could see, you talked about standard operating procedures. I could see there being, I could see creating a board, inside of AI and having like board meetings with, AI to help it analyze my business and find new opportunities. So where do you see the low hanging fruit for the entrepreneur to start taking advantage?
It's like you've read my mind because you literally hit on some of those right there. The one that I always encourage businesses to start with is we all have, no matter how small or large we are, we have ideas and things that are not written down. We have procedures that are not documented. AI is a tremendous way to create standard operating procedures, and it can do so in moments. And it's even easy for a guy with ADD like me. So it's super. The second thing is my background's in marketing, so I'm biased, but it is an incredible tool to use for marketing copy. Whether you're writing social posts, whether you're creating email campaigns, you're writing landing page copy, anything like that, video scripts, it's amazing at that. So that's the second part that I think is really relevant. One of the areas that I think most businesses are missing right now, though, and I think is going to be what's going to drive a lot of it, is in customer service and customer support. We haven't seen it a lot yet, but we've all had that experience in the past where we've called somebody, some large corporation, we've got an individual in a foreign country that English is not even their second language, it's maybe their fifth language, and we can't understand what's going on. And worse than that, we know they're reading off a script and have no ability to actually do anything for us. That is what has become customer service. That's changing very fast. And now with AI models in place, the AI models, one, can be understood. They can be given much more latitude and restrictions because instead of going, well, only do this so you don't screw up, we can give the AI 17 possible pathways to go down and give it the if, then, do this type statements and trust that it'll follow that. I think the area we're going to see the most growth in the next few months, the next year, is in the customer service side. Because the moment one of your customers works with any company that gives them the option to have an AI schedule the appointment, get them the information they need, send them that. The expectation is going to be that your company is going to do that as well. And if you don't, they're going to start looking for the ones that make their life easier. So I think that's as a general rule, that's a really big, huge opportunity. But the others are probably a little bit quicker wins.
Yeah, this is fantastic. And maybe this is a conversation for a whole nother podcast episode, but I'm thinking of this customer service and support topic that you brought up. Is that something I can just type a prompt into ChatGPT and it helps me create something like that? That seems so far from what I'm used to getting out of chat.
Sure.
And I feel like I would need a whole team of people to like help me develop and execute on that.
There's a couple
maybe
different,
I'm out in left field.
there's a couple different levels of it. So at its simplest level, it's empowering your customer service team with a trained model. And by the way, that just means it's been trained on your company, your policy, your information, what to do, that they then can query. So instead of saying they're looking through a manual going, let's see, they said this, here's my question. That's, by the way, when they tell you they're going to be on hold for a moment and look at your information, that's what they're doing. They're frantically paging through the guide to figure out what they can do next. Now you can give them an AI model that basically allows them to go, the customer just said he wants a refund. How do we handle that? The customer just said he needs this. How do we handle that? And based on the database that it's trained on, you'll be able to get answers like that the customer service rep can do. So that's the easy, simple, literally it's using ChatGPT to do that. We can get far more complex and literally set up an agent. And an agent is something that would then essentially function within the parameters that we gave it, but function somewhat autonomously. So it's like your voicemail when your automated attendant answers your phone system for work, except that it's your automated attendant on steroids, because that automated attendant now has the ability to actually query a database, give answers and all that, and not just by pressing different buttons. Literally, it can understand language. So when you call up and you go, I'm calling about my cable bill because it just jumped by $50 and I don't know why, it can sense your tone, your style, your sentiment, and it can then go, okay, this user's upset because their bill just went up and they didn't expect it. And it can then go down the appropriate path to figure out what is the way in which we've told them as a client we want to solve this problem. And it can follow those logic paths. It's very logical. And that's beneficial in customer service because we know when we make decisions emotionally, we don't tend to make the best decisions. And the people calling in are often more emotional. Therefore, we need to be compassionate, but logical. And yes, your AI model can embody that empathy, even if it really doesn't have the emotion.
I love it. And I think one thing I'll call it agentic AI.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right term
It
or
is.
not, but I saw and this was a month or two ago, I saw a video and it was a guy that owned a sales business, or he was a salesman, a top salesperson in an organization. And he got a phone call from an AI agent trying to sell him on this AI agent as a tool. And it was incredible how this AI agent was prompting him, asking him questions, responding to him. And he figured out it was the AI agent. He started asking it questions and was just like mind blown on how it was able to respond. And so I think that you're absolutely on the right path with, we think about our antiquated, phone systems. I always get a chuckle when, I call a business and they say, your call is very important to us. I'm like, you are lying.
Exactly.
If it was very important, you would have a human being answering this phone call and like solving my problem versus like putting me through the phone
Bingo.
tree. So I think this AI agent is going to help solve that problem in a way that, again, saves time, makes businesses more money, and adds value, because that adds value to my life as a consumer when I call a business that has those things. So that's wonderful. Hey, real quick, before we get back to the conversation, if you're listening to this episode, there's a good chance you're the kind of entrepreneur who's always looking for ways to work smarter, move faster, and build a business that actually works for you, not the other way around. And while AI can help save time and scale, one of your biggest leaks in your business is still your tax bill. Let me ask you something. Do you have a real strategy in place to reduce your taxes this year? Or are you just hoping your CPA finds new write-offs at the end of the year? At Vital Strategies, we help entrepreneurs like you take control of your tax plan with proven frameworks that go well beyond the basics. We're talking about real, high-leverage strategies that can save you tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, legally, ethically, and proactively. So if you want to stop leaving money on the table and start building a tax plan that actually grows with your business, go to vitalstrategies.com/tax right now. It's time to stop reacting and start leading with your wealth, your vision, and your strategy. All right, let's get back to the episode. Good. Okay, so this is incredible. So we've talked about marketing copy, standard operating procedures, customer service. I like talking about marketing because the reality of business is it all starts with revenue. If you don't have dollars flowing in, doesn't matter how great your product is. And so can we talk a little bit about how we can leverage AI to help us with marketing?
Absolutely we can. And it's one of my favorite areas. So AI, again, has been trained on a lot of stuff. So if you have decent marketing chops already, you can do amazing stuff with it. If you don't, then it's just a matter of knowing what the right tools are to use. I'll give you an example. One of the tools that I use on an almost daily basis, my background's in marketing, so I know how to ask it good questions, but I don't remember what the best copywriters have taught and all the right frameworks. Well, guess what? We have a custom GPT, again, which is a trained version of ChatGPT that's been trained, and we jokingly inside call it our dead copywriters guide. And it's literally been trained on the best copywriters that are now deceased. And so I can go and I can get advice on how to write direct sales copy, which is part of what we do, from some of the best people that have ever done it. And it's literally available in my computer because we've trained them on their frameworks. We've trained them on the campaigns they've written, literally thousands of pages sometimes in documentations, trained them. But now it's accessible to me. So when I can go, hey, I've got a training next week and I need to create a landing page for that, I can literally give it the link to my document that has the information, and it will then go in and go, okay, well, based upon who this is, based upon who your audience is, we should use this style. And here, we're going to craft this content for you. One, I can use that for clients if I still have an agency. I don't, but if I did, we could have written so much marketing copy that was so much better than what we could have done on our own in literally half the time or less. But now as a small business owner, I have that accessible to me and I can use that whenever I need it. So last night I was busy, lots of things happened. It was 9:30 at night and I'm building on a landing page for something I needed next week. My team should have done it, but I wanted it done by this morning and they were all done. So I did it, but I had AI to help me do that. And this morning when my marketing director comes in and saw all the stuff that I'd gotten done, her first response was, "You just like this AI stuff too much." And I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" She goes, "I saw when you started, I saw when it was done. You did this entire thing in under an hour." She goes, "You realize 2 years ago, that would have taken us days to put together." And it would have. So answer your question, when it comes to marketing, leverage. AI has been trained on every book and every library. So if we know, for example, I can just ask ChatGPT, give me the best direct response copywriter for this type of an audience. And it will then go, well, you should use either Bruce Ogilvy or somebody like this, Gary Halpern. And then based upon that, I can pick it and it'll use that tone, that style, their methodologies to write it. I could never afford as a business to probably hire those individuals, certainly not on a campaign by campaign basis. But now I can essentially get their embodiment via AI and get just tremendous results.
I love this. So I'd like to step up a level if that's okay. So part of me is thinking about, we're talking tactically right here, right? Like, okay, I'm going to create a sales letter. But one question I have is, and you touched on this, how do I build the strategy? Do I need to send, direct mail, because I think about marketing in general and it's just a bid for attention, whether it's a billboard, a piece of mail, social media post or ad, whatever. It's just like, I'm just trying to get people's attention for the least amount of money possible.
Absolutely,
so they take action. So when I think about that, I'm like, okay, I need to build a strategy that is effective. And I could try any number of, the things I just mentioned, plus probably 1,000 more. And I don't know what's most effective in my marketplace. Is chat a good tool to help me design a strategy for my target client?
ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Mistral, anyone you want. Yes, they're all very capable of doing that when asked the right questions. And that's probably the hard part, is just knowing what questions to ask. And that's ultimately why I say AI amplifies skill and experience, because if you have the skill and experience, you're better at asking the questions.
Yeah, great. Now I want to move on to standard operating procedure, because I could see, okay, I get a response from some of my marketing. Now I need to turn that marketing in, that I'll say lead, into something, right?
Yes.
And I should probably have a checklist to follow to make sure that they don't fall through the cracks, that type of thing. So can you give me some thoughts on standard operating procedure? Because I think about, there's certain softwares and that type of thing that we utilize. And it's like, well, yeah, I would love to build, a framework, but how does it know what the proper steps are? And again, I think you hit on a key point just a second ago. It amplifies skill. So if I've got some general thoughts I can feed in there, it will help me give some things back. But can we talk a little bit about standard operating procedure?
Absolutely. Well, part of what we need to remember when it comes to like standard operating procedures is, because ChatGPT has been trained on so much, it's like bringing in that 65-year-old expert who's been writing SOPs their entire life, and that can literally sit down at a table with you and ask you 3 questions and know everything that was in your mind and create the SOP based on that, even though they've never been in your business before, simply because they have that experience. And it's just a lot faster in the process. So I can go in as that ADHD entrepreneur who knows the value of an SOP, but oh my gosh, it's like, pull my hair out. I don't want to write them. I can now go in and say, all right, I need to create an SOP to do the following. And I can give it just an outline. I can just talk to it. I can spend 30 seconds explaining it. Then, as you've mentioned earlier, ask me any questions that you've got. Ask me one at a time. And then when you've got enough, give me the SOP. Because you know what? I don't know what questions should be asked, but it does. And now that process, it would have normally caused Jonathan to go, you know what? It's not worth figuring out this SOP. We're just going to go forward because it's going to take me too long to do. Now I can write in incredibly detailed, very well organized SOP in minutes. And then you mentioned another thing earlier with checklists. We just recently did this with a roofing company. They needed a checklist for their contractors that are their job foremen that go out to residential houses on how to basically announce that they're there, what to say to the homeowner. They were getting complaints because they weren't communicating that well. Literally on the phone, I had the owner explain what he wanted done. We had ChatGPT create the SOP. He's like, that's great. It's perfect, but they'll never use it. And I said, well, what about if we create a checklist? And so we literally took the SOP and said, now we need a checklist for the job foreman to be able to complete and submit at the end of the day back with when he's done with the job. And I'm exaggerating. It was not that fast, but it was only about 3 of those. And we had an entire checklist that we could use. And he was literally able, maybe a 15-minute conversation, to take this problem that he's like, I know what to do up here. I know what I want my team to do, but I don't know how to relay that and convey that to them and then make them do that. And we had the entire system put in place, and he was able to implement it literally that next day. And to me, that's where AI gets so exciting, because it's not just that we don't know how to do that, and we know how to write an SOP. We don't want to write an SOP. I don't want to take the time to do it. But if I knew, instead of taking 3 hours of arduous pain for me as an ADHD entrepreneur of putting all that detail together and making my head hurt and wanting me to go take a nap, then I can do it in 15 minutes. Well, I can endure the pain for 15 minutes. That's not a problem.
Sure. Yeah, no, I love that. And I'm very much the same way. It's like standard operating procedures are not going to enter the top 25 things that I want to do today.
Yeah, ever.
I will find a new thing, right? Yes, I will find a new thing that goes on that list every day before standard operating procedures. And so being able to quickly knock those out and go, okay, cool, this is eliminating some pain in our business. It'll allow us to go farther, faster, is wonderful. So I'm just going to take a few things that we've talked about.
Sure.
The customer service support, the standard operating procedures, the marketing copy. Like, I could see all of these things marrying together eventually, right? I create tremendous marketing copy. I've got agentic AI that answers the phone when that person calls in and communicates with empathy, understands their problems, could possibly even take them on to the sales piece. Like, somebody could enter the equation and do the sale. And now we've got all the standard operating procedures to deliver on that client work. It's like, this is beautiful. I'm enjoying this. I'm sure my team is probably going to listen to this episode and be like, oh no, there's going to be so many business
More
opportunities
ideas.
that, right, coming out of this. But I think this is wonderful. And I feel like we've only touched on a tiny little corner of what AI can do. So, Jonathan, this is great. Is there anything else that we should be thinking about, talking about, that the business owner could be leveraging AI for, that you just see as just underutilized or maybe revolutionary in taking businesses to the next level?
We haven't talked much about it, but being a leader, it can be very lonely. Sometimes there's nobody to talk to. There's nobody to bounce ideas off of. And let's face it, we need to do that. AI has, you mentioned earlier, board of directors, a board of advisors. And I actually have multiple boards of advisors. And I think it's a tremendous tip that most businesses don't think about. Imagine being able to go and pick your best, if money was no object and time was no object, and you could pick any people, living, dead, or fictional, to be on your board of advisors, who would you pick? Well, I'll tell you, one of them I picked was a fictional character named Tony Stark from the movie Iron Man. May think I'm crazy, but I just love Tony. And so he's on my board of it, my virtual board of advisors, with, by the way, 11 other people. I have a board of 12.
Yep.
But now I have the ability, when I want to brainstorm an idea, I've got a problem, maybe I'm just having a crappy day and I'm like, need somebody to break me out of this. I can go to my board of advisors, and guess what? Nobody judges me. Nobody's going to come back and say, you weenie, Jonathan, come on, grow up. Yeah. Well, actually, Tony might do that. But, I can literally have that conversation. And then because it's been trained on all these various personas, some alive, some dead. So I've got, my marketing board has Gary Vaynerchuk on it. Gary's very much alive, but I don't know Gary Vaynerchuk, but I want him on that committee. I've got other people on that. I've also got people that have passed away that are brilliant, like Steve Jobs, and they all bring different perspectives to it. And so it's like having a board of advisors that I can sit down with and go, what about this idea? Or what about that idea? And I've trained it not to be complimentary, which AI tends to be, but to challenge me. And you literally use the phrase, as iron sharpens iron, I need you to challenge me and make my ideas better. And so it does. It's not there to cherry coat things. It's literally go, Jonathan, I get your point, but that's a dumb idea. Here, what about this? And what about that? Or you're missing this. And it allows me in very short periods of time, and probably more importantly, because of this amazing device that I can run AI on, in any situation I'm in. I literally this morning, I've started walking because I'm a fat guy and I need to walk more. I need to move more. And so literally while I was walking, I was having a conversation with AI, going through some ideas that I have and getting feedback. It was amazing. And I was able to actually be incredibly productive, which made me happy while I was moving, which means it didn't seem like I was exercising. It happened. It was part of the process. And I was able to make huge strides forward on a project that I needed to do. So the board of advisors, in my mind, is kind of one of these untold hacks that nobody talks about and is just amazingly powerful.
I love that. And when we started talking about board of advisors and you said dead or alive, I'm like, okay, I'd probably put Jesus on there. He's Son of God and, all knowing, all powerful. That would be a good one. And then the second thing, when you said fictional, my thought, the reason I laughed was Tony Stark. I'm like, Tony would be great to have on my list, because I always thought I could be Iron Man. Not that I'm as smart as Tony, but like Tony really just has the technology strapped to his body that allows him to fly around and be a superhero. So, I'm looking forward to the day when I can buy the suit. But
well, the good news is by tonight, Tony can be on your board of advisors. It doesn't take very long.
Wonderful. This is great. I'm going to be working on, crafting this board and making sure that, both Jesus and Tony are giving me good feedback. So
there we go.
Wonderful. I love it. This is wonderful. So Jonathan, I'm again, thinking about the entrepreneur, and so often we talk about who, not how.
Yes.
And what we mean by that is I need somebody that knows who. No, I'm bringing somebody into my business that is a who, that knows how to do things, versus me trying to learn it myself and figuring out how, because it's just inefficient. Somebody that knows AI, knows how to install it in my business, is going to be more efficient, more effective than me sort of bumbling around trying to get all of this put in while I'm running my business. So can you talk to us a little bit about what it looks like if I want to call you up and say, Jonathan, help me figure this out, and help me install AI into my business in a way that works. What does an engagement look like?
Yeah, for me, I really specialize in group coaching and group mentorship. So with me, that means typically getting involved in a mastermind that I'm doing. And we do some personalized training. Sometimes that's appropriate, but a lot of times it's working directly hand in hand with the business owner in that small group setting to help you move forward and achieve your objectives. The process is really simple. I sit down and I chat with you, just like we're chatting now, and go, what are your goals? What are your objectives? And then we get you plugged into our mastermind sessions where you're around generally a handful of anywhere from 5 to 10 other business owners with similar needs. And we just help you figure out what to do to implement. And candidly, it's less me than it is the other business owners at that point. It's learning from your peers, and I'm just there to be a guide.
I love this. And I think there's so much evidence that supports the cohort and growth versus me trying to work on these things on my own. And so I love the fact that you're guiding people along and you've got peers to work with, and you're getting real-time feedback on what's working in the marketplace and what's not. So I think that's beautiful. I also think there's a ton of value on your website. JonathanMast.com has just a treasure trove of fantastic information. So I think if you're curious about this topic, that's a great place to start. And then I'd also encourage you to book a call with Jonathan. I think we've touched on the success that comes with leaning into AI. I think the concern for most business owners is if you don't adopt, you're going to be left behind, way behind. Because your competitors will be doing all the things you talked about. They'll be saving time. They'll be making more money. They'll be adding more value in the marketplace, which again, that's what the marketplace is. It's a fair exchange of value. If I can deliver more value, people will continue to send dollars my way. So
Absolutely.
I think if people aren't adopting AI, it's a very dangerous place to be from a business perspective. And it's like business is too hard to not be embracing these new technologies that, again, allow you to be more efficient, make more money, and add more value to the marketplace. So I think that's fantastic. Is there anything else we should be talking about when it comes to AI that we haven't covered yet?
I'm sure there is, because AI is changing so rapidly that I'm sure there's a lot of things that the audience may go, what about? At the end of the day, though, I think we've covered the basics, and I want to encourage people not to overcomplicate things, because it's so easy to overthink and then we do nothing. That paralysis by analysis is so true. And AI is not a reason to do it. AI is not going to bite. It's not going to hurt you. It's easy, and just get started.
I love it. Well, this has been fantastic. As an AI expert, I almost feel like I wish there was a test to verify that you're actually, a human being on the other side of this this camera, not some AI agent that's you're giving us brilliant insight.
Thank you.
Jonathan, I really have appreciated this conversation. It's been wonderful. And I think we may have to schedule, like almost quarterly podcast
I'd love
episodes.
to. That'd be great.
Because this environment is changing so rapidly.
Oh, yeah,
the things we're talking about today, 3, 4, 6 months from now are going to be old news. So this is wonderful. Thanks so much for your wisdom and insight.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for tuning into this week's episode of the Vital Wealth Strategies podcast. I hope you found real value in today's conversation with Jonathan Mast, and that it sparked some ideas about how you can begin using AI to streamline your business, scale faster, and deliver more value to your clients. If this episode helped you, please take a moment to share it with another entrepreneur, someone in your circle who's ready to grow but may be feeling overwhelmed or stuck. Sometimes the right strategy or the right tool can make all the difference. And don't forget, if you're ready to take control of your taxes and finally build a smarter, more proactive strategy this year, head over to vitalstrategies.com/tax. You'll find some powerful tools and free resources to help you get started. But more importantly, if you're a high-earning entrepreneur who's serious about keeping more of what you earn, we'd love to connect and explore what a custom tax strategy could look like for you. This isn't one size fits all. It's about building a personalized plan that works with your business, your goals, and the life you're creating. And remember, you're a vital entrepreneur. You're vital because you're the backbone of our economy, creating opportunities, driving growth, and making an impact. You're vital to your family, creating abundance in every aspect of life. And you're vital to me because you're committed to growing your wealth, leading with purpose, and creating something truly great.